Every word we say to people has a ripple effect. The words you say are important. They are magic. You have no idea how much they are going to impact people and change other people's lives. Creativity can't be forced. The things in your life that you're looking for, none of it's going to come by force. It has to come by allowing. We need to pay attention when things come up because we are handed opportunities all the time in our lives that will show us where our limits are. We have to become the person that we want to be over time. And it takes time. It takes those little baby steps to slowly push ourselves out of our comfort zone so that we can eventually be the person we dream of being. We are here to continuously become better. And it's easy to forget that sometimes when somebody thrusts a growth opportunity in our faces. All expanding requires becoming greater than we are. It requires stretching. Because you are so amazing, you can and should and will continue to expand and grow and become more.
Get ready to love everything I am. All I want to be and understand. 'Cause I won't dim my light for no one.
They told me I had to pick one thing. No. Diamonds are multifaceted, and so are we. It's about time we let all the parts of us shine. How can we climb out of the box and fully embrace our own authenticity? I'm Kara Lee, and it's time for the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast, where clarity and creativity go hand in hand. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast. I'm really excited about our topic today. Today is a solo episode. If you haven't figured out my pattern yet, I do a solo episode for the very first Wednesday of every month, and July had 5 Wednesdays, so we've had 5 guest episodes in a row, but it's officially the first Wednesday of August, and so it's time for a solo episode. And so I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to share with you guys today, and this topic has kind of been on my mind a bit, and so I'm excited to talk to you about using your voice because it's something that I've really been pondering on for several months. I actually wrote a song called Use Your Voice in May, and so I'm going to share a couple actually of iterations of the song because it's part of the story that I'm going to tell you. So this song was very inspired by Cathy Heller. And you might know that one of the things that I do, I'm a singer-songwriter. You can, if you are watching the video, then you can see the music notes that I have in the background. And one of the reasons that I started my podcast in the first place was because I wanted a platform to be able to share my music on. And my original name of my podcast was Seeking Sunshine, which is also the name of my album that came out a year ago. It came out in May of 2023. And you can go find the Seeking Sunshine album on all platforms if you want to go listen to it. It was really fun, and it was kind of a lifelong dream to release that album. And I've actually started working on my second, and I might even call it Use Your Voice. This might just be the title song for that album. But I feel like podcasting and, creating your own business, and it doesn't really matter what you're doing, whether you're regulating your emotions, which is something we talk about a lot, whether you are doing inner child work, or whether, like, I've been doing a lot of inner child work this summer, and that was a lot of what led to me writing this song called Use Your Voice. It all boils down to expressing yourself in the most authentic way that you can. So anyways, I love writing music. That is a way that I express some of my deepest emotions. That's a way that I I heard this thing earlier in the week that was you transmute your feelings and your kind of your negative history, your negative experiences, you transmute that into beauty and joy through creativity. And I just that hit home for me so hard. That really resonated with me because I very, very much transmute all of the trauma that I've been through in my life. I transmute it into beauty through music. And if you go listen to the Seeking Sunshine album, you'll see the ways in which there's a lot of emotion in that album. There's a lot of pain that comes through, but it's so beautiful. And so here's this song called Use Your Voice. It was very inspired by Kathy Heller because something I've been doing a lot over the last year since I wrote my album is not writing music for myself, but writing music for other people. I've been writing custom podcast intro songs for other podcasters. And so this was one of the first songs I've written, probably this is like the first song I've written in a year for me. And it was inspired by Kathy because of how much I've learned from her. And if you don't know who that is, she's a very, very famous, popular podcaster that I've been kind of mentoring with for a couple years. And she's just so inspiring and so amazing about showing up authentically and speaking up and just showing up as yourself. And so I kind of this was a transition from writing for other people and writing in other people's voice to writing for myself again and writing from my heart again and writing the things that really were meant for me. So the lyrics of this song are, I'm tired of the days of stuff it all down, be seen and not heard. Girl, it's time to let it all out. It's your turn to shine. And if they burn their eyes on all your glory, well, don't you dare tell a different story. Your worth isn't in the numbers, it's in the light of all of your colors. It's time to use your voice. Step into your power. Girl, you have a choice. It's time to get louder. You don't need permission to use your voice. And the second verse is perfect isn't real. Forget what they say. Human is beautiful. Let go of the fear. Find that safety comes from within. If it goes a different way than you planned, it's going to end up twice as grand. You've got to trust in your inner knowing. The clarity of your vision is growing. It's time to use your voice. Step into your power. You have a choice. It's time to get louder. You don't need permission to use your voice. The bridge is no more playing small. This is my final call. Show up. Sing your song. And then it's the chorus a few more times. It's time to use your voice. Step into your power. Girl, you have a choice. It's time to get louder. You don't need permission to use your voice. And I just felt like this was the culmination of so many things that I had been learning over the last even couple years, because my album that came out last year, I had written over the couple years before that. So those songs were, I don't know, even 2+ years old. Whereas this was very relevant for current me. And what was really fascinating about this song was it felt very like channeled. It just flowed out of me one day. It just kind of was like, oh, I'm writing this song right now. Like this is happening right now. This is stream of consciousness. And I just started like recording into my voice recorder on my cell phone, like, oh, this is it. And there were some kinks that had to be worked out, and I changed a couple of things here and there, but the initial melodies like just kind of came to me, and it was so surreal to live that experience of just pure like creativity and flow, and just like it felt incredible. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing like all the time. Like this is how, like when you're forcing things, it never really feels right. It feels like an uphill climb, like a battle. And this just felt like, oh, this is how everything should be working in life. It just happens. It was sort of like when I rebranded my podcast, and it was like before I even realized what I was doing, the whole show had been rebranded, and I turned around and I was like, "What did I just do?" That just happened. Like, oh, this song was just sort of written. And I write songs melody and lyrics first, like they just come together and they just tend to flow out. And that's exactly what happened with this. Like I definitely don't have instrumentation first or anything like that. And then I will record the vocals and the instrumental and I'll record the vocals and I'll put like a dummy instrumental behind it with like just a few chords and maybe like a little bit of drums, and then I'll send it off to my friend who will do all the instrumentals. And when he sent back the demo version that had his instrumentals with my vocals, it was one of the most incredible moments like of my life. It was one of those moments where you just like stop in time. And I worked with him for my album, and there were a lot of moments in my album where I'd get it back and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna need work. I really gotta tweak a lot of things. I can make it work. It'll come together." And this was the most perfect thing he had ever written for me. Like this was the most like it was like he had been in my head hearing what I could hear. It was so perfect. It was so perfect. I felt such bliss, such joy when I first heard the instrumentation that he put behind my music. I think I just jumped up and down for like 20 minutes and listened to it over and over and over again. Like my husband was like, "What happened to you?" Like I was so unbelievably happy. It was incredible. Now, you should know that I wrote this song because I had this little vision in my head of singing it at the podcast summit that Kathy Heller was hosting at the end of May. So it wasn't perfect by the time that I had finished it and sent it to her. I hadn't really gotten everything. It takes time. It takes like a lot of work to finesse and work through songs and get all the harmonies done and get all the things ready, right? Songwriting is a very interesting thing. It's very different from podcasting because I will sit down right here, right now, and I'm recording this podcast for you. And I'm going to listen back through it once, and I might like, I restarted the beginning once when I like coughed or something. But I'm not going to edit like any of this. I edit pretty much none of my podcast. I can hear my son upstairs making noises, and I have no idea if that's going to pick up in the recording or not. I'm not going to edit probably any of this. Okay. I almost never edit my show. And yet, this is going to be, I don't know, somewhere between 40 minutes and 50 minutes ish, roughly, give or take. Like, this is going to be a good amount of time for an audio, right? But the song is like 3 or 4 minutes long, and I'm gonna be spending so much. I have spent so much more time working on that audio to make it everything that it is supposed to be, putting in all like re-recording the vocals so many times and doing layers and layers and layers of harmonies and descants and overlays and just all sorts of different things. And it's amazing how much more work goes into songwriting than I put into my podcast is the only point I'm trying to make. So I hadn't done that yet. I just sort of had a demo version when I went off to the podcasting summit, but I had this sort of vision in my mind of singing this song at the summit because I had kind of written this song for the summit because it really, for me, encapsulated everything I'd learned like from Kathy and from podcasting. And it really was, it meant so much to me. And it was a gift for her. And I had sent it to her about a week before. And she did not get a chance to listen to it. I found out later, but it was my heart and my love for her and my love for everything she taught all of us in this song. And I wanted to share that using your voice. I wrote this song because I felt so long, and I had been doing all this inner child work that had been digging up all these deep-seated like insecurities. But like when I was little, I tried to make myself be a shy person. When I was in like elementary school, I convinced myself that if I could just be shy, people would like me. And now there's definitely parts of me that are shy. All right, don't get me wrong. But what I meant was, and I didn't have the words to articulate this at the time, was that if I could get myself to be quiet, people would like me. If I could just stop talking, then people would like me. And what I wish I knew then, that I know now, is that my voice is part of my superpower. It is the things that I say and the ways in which I'm able to communicate, not just on my podcast, but to people. I'm able to say things that just hit home for people and help them and change their lives. And it is in the using of my voice that I am able to have the biggest impact in this world. And I wish I could go back and tell the 5-year-old version of me, the 10-year-old version of me who tried to make herself shut up, who thought that the worst thing she could be was loud. I wish I could go tell her what a superpower this would end up being. How great of an impact her voice would have in this world. And I still don't know what an impact my voice will have, because podcasting has a ripple effect. Every word we say to people has a ripple effect. Your voice is powerful too. The words you say are important. They are magic. You have no idea how much they are going to impact people and change other people's lives forever, in perpetuity. The words you say to your kids, the words you say to your friends, they have power. They are so important. And so that's why I wanted to have a whole episode about using your voice, because no matter what capacity you are using your voice in, whether it's at church, whether it's in a business, whether it's on social media, it matters. It's important. And we spent so long being taught that you need to be seen and not heard, that it's a woman's job to be quiet. I mean, children are supposed to not have opinions because they're children. And that's just not true. It's just not true. We need to respect our children's opinion so they can grow up into adults that understand that their voice matters. Their voice matters as children too. Like, your voice is so important. It's just so important. So I went to the podcast summit, and I was hoping that I'd get to sing the song, because it, to me, was everything. It was the whole summit was kind of about using your voice, even though they didn't really say that in my head. And I was just an attendee. I had no like big part of the summit. It was like the second to last week of May. And I had emailed it to Kathy, but she didn't get a chance to listen to it. She didn't even know it existed. She doesn't actually read her own emails, it turns out. And I was sitting there at the summit, and I had shared the song with some friends, and they loved it because I have amazing friends. And I have to tell you that that is one of the greatest gifts of being part of Kathy Heller's world, is the people that she brings into her communities are the greatest people. They truly are. And the friendships that I have formed because I've been in connection with her are actually life changing. Like they have genuinely changed my entire life because of the incredible, beautiful women I have met. And I am just ever so grateful for them. So I had shared my song with some friends, and I had been just holding this vision that I would get to sing this song at this event. And I thought to myself while I was sitting there, if I could just let Kathy know that it exists, that would be enough for me. That would be enough. Now, this was like a jam-packed 2-day summit where we were, it was like 8-hour days of really incredible guests, and we'd have like a 2-hour lunch break. But Kathy was on stage and then backstage and then on stage and then backstage. She didn't really come off of the stage to come talk to us. She was on stage and then not anywhere to be seen. Like there was no like getting to talk to her. And so it was, I was getting like, I don't think this is like, I was getting in my head about it. And then we did this sound bath, which I will tell you now, I've actually been working. I have some sound bowls. They're right here next to me, actually. I have sound bowls, and I'm working on doing a sound like I'm gonna be offering sound baths, and I'm so excited for that. So just keep an eye out for that. So I was listening to this just beyond incredible sound bath. Like it was so inspiring. And I got this inspiration when when she asked us at the end of it, like, what is it you need to know? And what I got was like, stop trying to force it. Like, just let it happen and it will happen. And it was so just like, oh yeah, of course. Like I said at the beginning, like you can't force music to happen. You can't force anything. It doesn't work. The creativity can't be forced. The things in your life that you're looking for, none of it's going to come by force. It has to come by allowing. All of it does. And then when you're in that receiving, allowing state of like, of gratitude and peace, that's when all of the downloads, of the inspiration, of the creativity, of the juicy ideas, they just start flowing. That's why all your best ideas come in the shower, by the way. If that happens to you, that's exactly what happens to me. As soon as I get in the shower, the ideas, they start flowing. And like the other night, I like usually I go to bed and I just instantly fall asleep because I'm so dang tired. But the other night, I was tossing and turning and I couldn't sleep, and I had idea after idea after idea, and I had to keep writing them down. It's when you slow down and you stop trying to force things, that's when all the ideas start coming. So down. I slowed down for this sound bath. And that's when I got this, oh, just wait. The opportunity will present itself. And it did in the most like magical way. So the day ended, day one ended, and I had not had the opportunity to bump into Kathy Heller because she had been backstage and on stage and backstage and on stage, and there were like 300 people there, and it was crowded and loud and wild. And I was with my group of people, and we were staying at this Airbnb, and we were trying to decide what we were going to do for dinner. And we left to go walk back to our car, but I forgot my jacket. And so I went back to go get my jacket after we'd walked like half a block away. And then one of the other girls in our group forgot her water bottle, so we walked all the way back. We'd gotten an entire block away, and we walked all the way back to get her water bottle. And I was like, oh well, while we're here, I'm gonna go to the bathroom because I should have peed the last time we were here. And guess who was standing right outside the bathrooms when we went back the second time to get the water bottle? It was Kathy, and I had the opportunity to give her a hug and to tell her that I had sent her this present in her email. And so I got to tell her that the song existed, and she was so excited. And I still don't know actually to this day if she ever listened to it, for the record. But that was enough for me, was that I got to tell her that it existed. And now this is far from the end of the story. But that was what I wanted. Was decided that it was enough if I got to tell her that it existed. So I told her it existed, and it was so beautiful. And then she got rushed off to go to her dinner. And the next day, we did our next busy day, and it was a full day. And I had realized because that night I ended up staying up like 2 hours by myself because it had been such an overwhelming day and surrounded by tons and tons of people. And I was like, oh, I'm getting really bombarded and overwhelmed by being with so many people in such a cramped room. Like, I actually need to take time for myself. So the next day during lunch, I took some time away from everyone by myself. And then we had an extended day on the second day, and we had this, um, like appetizers and cocktails, like meet and greet thing that was going on. And it was so loud. Like all these like 200 people or whatever were in the lobby, and it was so loud and so overwhelming that I ended up just like standing in the bathroom for 10 minutes because it was quieter. And I was like, this is just really too much for me. Like, I need to, like, as much as I love all of these people so much, I need to like take space. And then they finally opened back up the auditorium where you couldn't have food, but like before it was time to go back in, and there were a handful of people in there, like maybe 10 people in there. And so I went in there because it was so much quieter. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can breathe in here. Like, oh, it's so loud out there. And I had a couple of friends amongst these 10, 12 people or whatever. And one of them asked me about my song and like if I had gotten to see Kathy. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me just tell you what just happened. And she was like, you need to go on stage right now and sing your song before we start up again. And I was like, what? And one thing that I want to mention is that we need to pay attention when things come up because we are handed opportunities all the time in our lives that will show us where our limits are. And that was one of those times for me, as well as many other times in my life. But that was one of those times where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Like, I was not invited onto that stage. I can't. Like, what if, like, in my brain, I'm going, what if they don't want me here? What if I get in trouble? Like, all of a sudden, I'm 5 years old again, being in trouble because this is inappropriate. Like, that is the phrase that I was taught over and over and over and over and over again when I was a child, is like, this is inappropriate. And my friend's going, this is your chance to go sing your song on the stage that you saw yourself singing the song on. And I was like, no, no way. No, my gosh. And I did. Walked up those stairs, and I could not believe how much courage it took for me because I'd been envisioning this for like a month. I had been seeing myself on that stage, and somehow when it came to it, and it was a little different than I had been seeing, I saw all of those things come up for me. And I saw the this is inappropriate come up for me. And I did it, and it took courage. And looking back at it now, I'm like, oh, I wish I had gone all out. Because I didn't go all out. I went up there and shyly kind of not put it. I mean, I sing pretty loudly, so I think they could still hear me, but I sang like a verse of the song. And I wish I had just gone up there and been as audacious and big as I know I could have been. Like, just bold. You know those people who you meet who just seem shameless, who are just like, I wish I had the audacity to be as brave as they are. That's me. 'Cause I wish I had the audacity to be as brave as some people I have known and met and seen. And when it comes down to it, I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. So if you meet me in real life, that's what you can do for me, is you can dare me to have the courage to show up with that bravery in person. It's different when it's over the internet and I'm talking to an empty room, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm literally talking to an empty room. It's just me. I mean, I've got my 13-year-old upstairs, but I don't even record podcasts with my husband in the house. Like, I can't do it. It's too much. I can't even. I can record my podcast to my empty house or with my 13-year-old upstairs who doesn't care and who's watching TV right now. You know? And I can speak to Toastmasters, right? Because that's the appropriate setting. It's funny how we watch where our boundaries are and we can envision these amazing things for our lives. But when it comes to actually doing them, we start to see where our limits actually are. And it's fascinating. And the more that we get to know ourselves, the better humans that we are. That's like the ultimate goal, I think, is to get to know ourselves better. Because what's the alternative? That I have this incredible vision for my life and even just for this little event, right? I have this incredible vision and I want all these things and I'm so ambitious. And then when it finally comes to it, I'm too scared that I think it's inappropriate and that I shut down and I can't do it. No, I need to slowly adjust. We all do. We have to become the person that we want to be over time. And it takes time. Takes those little baby steps to slowly push ourselves out of our comfort zone so that we can eventually be the person we dream of being. And that person for me is really bold and audacious and courageous. And I can be that person in the privacy of my own home. But being that person in front of a crowd of even 10 people, especially when it's unsolicited, there is my hang up. So now you know me better. Anyway, so I got up on that stage and I kind of shyly sang a verse and a chorus of my song, and then I ran off the stage. And so there's my story of how I got to sing that song on the stage. And I'm going to cut here and I'm going to share with you not actually the version I sang with I sent to Kathy because that was kind of a demo version. I'm going to play for you the finished version. I'm going to call it version 1 of that song. And what I want you to consider here is this is what I thought was going to be the finished version of the song. And I was actually really considering releasing it to the world like this. And I'm going to tell you part 2 of this story after you hear the song. So listen to this song and tell me and think about your thoughts of the song, and then come back for part 2. And then you're going to hear the song again completely differently.
If they burn their eyes out
Okay, here we are for part two of the Use Your Voice saga, which hopefully there's going to be many more iterations of where this song goes because I really think it's a fantastic song and it has so much life to give the world, right? So the second part of this story has to do with Sonnet, and Sonnet's amazing. And so Sonnet, if you don't know, Sonnet and Kathy and this whole group of people. Kathy Heller actually used to teach um how she used to teach people how to license your music to TV and like commercials and stuff. She used to teach sync, which is what it's called, sync licensing for like TV and movies and commercials. So one of her proteges, well, two of her proteges, Sonnet and John, now have a company called 2Indie where they teach what she taught them. So I was in their membership, and then they had a big opportunity, and I got a scholarship to be in this thing, and that was really exciting, and I was thrilled at this opportunity. As I was going through this opportunity and using the knowledge that I was learning and going, okay, I need to fix this about my song. I need to fix this about my song. Maybe my song's not quite ready for sync. Maybe I need to tweak a few things. Then I shared my song with Sonnet and she gave me some feedback. And I was like, okay. So some of those things that I got feedback on were it's a rock song. Since you've just heard it, you know that it's a rock song. It's a very much a big dance and rock kind of song. And it's really high vocally for a rock song. This is what her feedback was. It also needs a lot more space because when you are licensing a song for TV and music, you need to leave room for them to cut so people can talk in between. So there needs to be more space in the mix. So I was like, okay. And then there's things about like the ending and there's other mix things that needed to be tweaked. So I decided to redo my entire vocal performance and redo my mix and add a bunch of space and try to sing the whole thing an octave lower, which I studied opera for like 20 years and I'm so much more comfortable in the high range, like vastly more comfortable in the high range and the low notes. I'm like, yeah, I've studied contemporary voice and I know how to do it and I can, but I just like the high notes. That's just what like when I first got that feedback from Sonnet, I was like, ugh, no, I don't wanna. Like I had my little like temper tantrum of why can't it just be good enough as it is, and I really like it how it is and I don't want to change it, and why can't I just be me and be a rock singer that sings high, because that's one of the things that you have to allow yourself, and I will just tell you right now, I'm allowing myself. I allow myself to have a reaction to whatever it is. The being told to grow. Basically, Sonnet told me to grow if I wanted to have more success in sync. She told me to grow, and my initial instinctive reaction was, to pound my fist and say, no, I don't want to. I want to stay the same, dang it. I want to be exactly where I am and just have that be good enough. And then I got over it and decided to grow. And that's how that works sometimes. Sometimes we're going to pitch a fit when we're told we have to grow. And you kind of just have to let yourself go through that process. And then eventually you'll be like, fine, I will grow. I will grow. I will do the thing I have to do to get where I want to be. I'm going to grow. I will do it. Fine. I'll do it. And I'm actually doing that in so many different ways in my life right now. And I will talk about this in other episodes where I'm like, I'm being told I have to grow. And my initial reaction is, no, I don't want to grow. And then I eventually am like, fine, fine, I'll do it. I don't want to, but I'll do it. So if you have that reaction in any area of your life, it's okay. And you too will get over it, and then you'll grow, and then you'll be better, just like me. But it's okay if you first have the reaction of I don't wanna. That's all right too. So the newest version of this song has been lowered an entire octave. It has many, 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 many more hours of work poured into it. So many more hours. It has so much space, maybe not as much as they would like. Maybe it could have more space, but I put space into the mix. It's another like 45 seconds longer or something like that. And it is low. It's low. And when I sang it to my husband, and his first reaction was, "Ooh, I like that so much better." And I was like, if you couldn't see that, I stuck my tongue out because I'm growing. And that's my mature side coming out. The growth journey is a hard one. It's really a hard one, especially when you feel like you've worked so hard to get to where you're at and just to find out that you have to grow more. Oh, it's like it feels like a knife to the heart for a hot minute there where you're like, you want me to grow more? No, come on, I've been through so much. I've come so far. Can't you appreciate how far I've come? And that's the point where you have to be your own cheerleader, like we talked about in the other episode. You have to cheer yourself on and you have to appreciate how far you've come and see that vision and go, I'm so close to getting to where I want to go. I'm so close. And it's okay if I have more growing to do. It's okay if I have more learning to do. We're not on this earth to hit a plateau and stay there. Even if we think we've made it so incredibly far, we don't want a plateau. Even if it's an amazing plateau, we don't want a plateau. We want to keep growing, keep expanding. We're here to expand, aren't we? We're here to continuously become better. And it's easy to forget that sometimes when somebody thrusts a growth opportunity in our faces and we're just so tired and we feel really unappreciated. But the appreciation has to start inside of ourselves. If we aren't appreciating ourselves first, then we won't see the appreciation or grasp it when it comes from other places. We are here to grow, and sometimes it is not easy, but it's always worth it. So, my question for you is, do you like the new version better or not? And I hope that you will actually contact me and tell me if you like the new version better or not. Now, keep in mind that the new version really has been tailored for sync licensing purposes, and it has not yet like really been submitted, and I'm hoping that sync licensing opportunities will come my way from it, and we'll see. And it's okay if they don't, because I'm kind of still a beginner when it comes to learning the process of getting songs in that vein, of getting songs ready to be licensed for sync. I'm still getting my music to that place, if that makes sense. So I'm very much learning how to be a beginner and how to be okay with being fresh at something. It's okay to start new at something and learn how to just start messy. I think we talk about this a lot, but like we're here to grow. We're here to start messy, and you can't learn if you don't start by putting forth things that are going to get critiqued, because that's how you learn. So like I submitted this song to Sonnet knowing that she was going to tell me things that needed to be improved. And the only way that my song was going to get closer to being ready for a sync license was if she told me the things that had to change, which means that I have to be able to take that feedback, which she told me with all love and all compassion and all belief that I'll be able to get there, with all belief that I have what it takes because she's amazing and that's the kind of person she is, right? She was like, your voice is so beautiful, but for rock, it really needs to be low, like the song needs to be lower. And that's something that, yeah, it hurts. It hurts a little bit. All growth does. It's part of the growth journey. It's stretching, right? When we stretch growth, when a flower grows, it stretches upwards. And as people, we have to, all expanding requires becoming greater than we are. It requires stretching, and stretching hurts. Like that's the point of stretching is it breaks us a little bit so that we can become better. That's the point. So anyways, I'm curious which version of Use Your Voice you like better. I'm tired of the day. Stuff it all down, be seen and not heard. Ooh, girl, it's time to let it all out. It's your turn to shine. And if they burn their eyes on all of your glory, well, don't you dare tell a different story. No, your worth isn't in the numbers. It's in the light of all of your colors. It's time to use your voice. It's time to use your voice. Step into your power. Girl, you have a choice. It's time to get louder. You don't need permission. You don't need permission to use your voice. Perfect isn't real. Forget what they say, human is beautiful. Let go of the fear. Find that safety comes from within. If it goes a different way than you plan, it's gonna end up twice as grand. You've gotta trust in your inner knowing. The clarity of your vision is growing. It's time to use your voice. It's time to use your voice. Step into your power. Girl, you have a choice. It's time to get louder. You don't need permission. You don't need permission to use your voice. It's time to use your voice. It's time to use your voice. Step into your power. Girl, you have a choice. It's time to get louder. You don't need permission. I want you to know how important your voice is. And even though this was a story about music, I hope that you got a lot out of it because I know I did. This has been such a journey of learning to be a better me, learning how to be a better human, learning how to take feedback, which is something that you have to be able to do no matter what it is you're doing, but especially in business. And writing songs for sync is 100% of business. And I'm, doing this multi-passionate mama thing. This is one of the things I'm really passionate about. But these principles apply regardless of what field you're in. So I hope that there are things in here that resonate with you because your voice is so needed and you definitely need to be able to take feedback and use it to grow and become stronger because you are so incredible and so amazing. And there's this dichotomy. And I've talked about this before, but I'm going to repeat it again because it's just one of the most foundational things that you have to know. There's a dichotomy, and you have to simultaneously know both of these things with all your heart. Number one, you are so freaking incredibly amazing right now as you are. You are enough. You are amazing. You are phenomenal. You are so everything right now. And also, you can improve, you can grow, you need to grow, you need to stretch and learn and improve. Because you are so amazing, because of that, you can and should and will continue to expand and grow and become more. That's the dichotomy. They're both true, and we actually need both of them because they go hand in hand. We need both sides of that coin to operate together because when you don't believe that you are amazing, why would you bother trying to improve? Why would you bother trying to grow if you don't think you're worth the effort it takes? That's why it's so important to build your self-worth first so that you can have that greater understanding that, oh yeah, I'm worth the effort. I'm worth the journey. I'm worth the stretching to become even greater and reach my fullest capacity. Because you are. That's how amazing you are. So freaking incredible. And your voice needs to be heard. It's going to change so many lives. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Multi-Passionate Mama Podcast. I know that we can never be told too many times how amazing we are, so in case you haven't been told today, you are a freaking rock star. When you let yourself shine, you allow other people to take off their filters and shine brightly too. It's about time someone gave you permission to be all of you. If you enjoyed this show, please leave me a review and hit that subscribe button. I know you want more of this. Sharing is caring. Let someone you love know how incredible they are by texting them the link to this episode. They will feel so good just knowing that you thought about them. Lastly, if you want to know more about my courses and coaching, be sure to check out my website for up-to-date details on everything I have available. It's caroleegarrison.com and the link is in the show notes. Always remember that you are a diamond. Don't let anyone dim your sparkle.